Hello, good evening, and welcome to Galaxy Television News with Nifemi Oguntoye. The headlines. Federal Medical Center workers in Abeokuta protest appointment of CMD. Angerson kicks against concession of refineries. Outside Nigeria, David Duckenfield, others face Hillsborough charges. In sport, new Everton striker Henry Onyekuru in exclusive interview with Galaxy Television. Thanks for joining us again. We'll begin in Ogun State, where workers at the Federal Medical Center Abeokuta have protested the alleged appointment of Professor Adewale Musa as the substantive medical director of the hospital by the Federal Ministry of Health. The workers under the auspices of Joint House Union converged on the hospital premises, carrying placards and chanting solidarity songs to press home their demands. They argued that the ministry should have appointed one of the over 65 qualified consultants on the payroll of the center as substantive medical director of the hospital. Chairman of the hospital's Senior Staff Association, Comrade Samuel Idowu, who led other unions and associations to deliver a protest letter to the acting medical director, Dr. Isaac Hunyimbo, said that the alleged appointment of an outsider would be a recipe for anarchy and industrial disharmony.
The government should play by the natural principle of equity, justice, and fairness in appointing for us an insider, one of our own, one to whom we can look up to and go to and solve our problems.
About the consultants in this hospital not being capable, that is not a question to talk about. I can state categorically that my senior colleagues, my consultants, are not only skilled in management, they are equally skilled in training.
What you have asked me to do is to express and to deliver this communique to the Minister of Health.
Correspondent John Felix reports that the protest disrupted early morning medical and administrative operations within the hospital community. The Nigerian Union of Teachers, NUT, has kicked against the call for full autonomy to the 774 local government councils in Nigeria, saying the move will lead to more problems for primary school education in the country. The teachers, who carried placards with various inscriptions, move around major streets of Ibadan, the Oyo State capital, despite the heavy downpour recorded in the state on Wednesday. Correspondent Kuniljo has the details.
The peaceful protest commenced from the Agodi Secretariat of the Nigeria Labour Congress, where teachers had gathered as early as 7 in the morning. The protesters, led by the Secretary of the Nigerian Union of Teachers in the state, Comrade Wahid Olajede, as well as the Chairman of the Nigerian Union of Teachers in the state, Samuel Akano, said no to the autonomy of local governments in Nigeria.
The reason for saying no is very obvious. It's obvious because we are concerned about the fate of primary education in Nigeria. As of today, the arrangement of funding and management of primary education squarely rests in the hand of local government.
The chairman of the Nigerian Union of Teachers in the state, Samuel Akeno, said the move is necessary in order to revamp the dwindling fortunes of primary school education in Nigeria. The teachers are of the view that if granting autonomy to local governments in Nigeria become a matter of necessity, there must be adequate provisions from primary school teachers across the state.
This primary education is not brought under the management of a local government, because we've experienced between 1990 and 1994, we experienced bitter situations in our state here.
The teachers are of the view that if granting autonomy to local government in Nigeria become a matter of necessity, there must be adequate provisions for primary school teachers across the country.
where the government in Nigeria feels that autonomy of local government becomes imperative, we have decided to say that before the autonomy will be granted, let the money, the fund meant for management of primary education be also removed by first charge, and of course be given to Universal Basic Education Commission, a federal agency.
The protesters, who were monitored by officers of the Oyo State Police Command, later moved to the governor's office in Agodi, where they submitted their protest letter.
Meanwhile, the Nigerian Union of Teachers in Anambra State, in solidarity with the national body, has called for the funding and management of primary schools in the country to remain in absolute control of the state government, with local government playing a participatory role. The teachers, who describe the idea of local government autonomy as a welcomed one, however, insist that the objectives of those seeking autonomy is shrouded in secrecy. Correspondent Ajibade Aofeso has details in this report presented from our studios.
The march talked about local government autonomy, and the possibility of its actualization seemed to have drawn the attention of teachers. For them, the idea of local government autonomy is a welcome development, and they are in full support of the cause. However, they insist that the aim and objectives of those seeking the autonomy should be spelled out, as it affects primary school funding and management. Speaking through the state chairman of the union, Kamid Ifanyo Fodele, the teachers say they will not want to witness the dark ages anymore.
And we feel that we needed to do some little explanation on the parameters, challenges of having this local government autonomy without clearing these grounds. It may probably lead to the mistake of 1990s, between 1990 and 1994.
The teachers, who later rallied round the street of Oka, solicited the support of the general public to actualize their goal. The state NUT secretary, Kamid Livinus Omini, said basic education of any society is pivotal and should not be toyed with. He maintained that if the future of the children yet unborn is to be secured, then basic education should be given utmost priority.
So, and the Supreme Court, in the judgment between Abia State and Accountant General and other states in 2002, it was re-emphasized that the funding and management of primary schools education is the responsibility of the state.
For 9 state ON teachers, the union described it as a big shame, and persons governing those states are not worthy to be called leaders, they said.
Local government doesn't have capacity to run that system, and their eye is always on education money. And you and me knows that I know you must have been a victim of that era, if not for the sufferings of primary school teachers.
Earlier, the address of the national chairman, Comrade Michael Olukoya, was read to the teachers by the state chairman and suggested that the allocation from the Federation account for primary school education be reviewed upwards in favor of the states.
Members of the Petroleum and Natural Gas Senior Staff Association of Nigeria, PENGASIN, has kicked against moves by the federal government for the concession and privatization of some government-owned refineries in parts of the country. Executive Council Chairman of PENGASIN, Saleh Abdullahi, made this known during a media tour of the Port Harcourt refinery at One in LML local government area of the state.
We hear about concessioning. We are not averse to concessioning. We are not averse to privatization. However, what we are saying is that no nation would like to toil with the issue of energy. At the moment, at the position we are, we don't want a situation where 100% of the energy sector is given to private hands. We want to maintain some level of security, because energy is security.
On modular refineries requested by some groups in the Niger Delta region, it says that may not address the challenges in the oil industry.
Look at the PIGB, it also makes provision for taking care of the host community. And that area, instead of focusing on them, government look at the area of governance. So my take and our take as unions is we'll continue to advocate and to lay emphasis on those areas that focus on the host community.
Coming up on the news, IPOP leader Nnamdi Kanu says 2019 elections won't hold in Southeast. We have details shortly.
You're hired.
Thank you very much, sir.
Perfect interview. You couldn't add any more to it. Or could you? Why add more when you don't need to?
You're hired.
Thank you. I won't let you down.
That's why when we make Amstel Malta, we use less sugar while keeping its full premium flavor. Amstel Malta, all the taste with less sugar.
Welcome back. For more updates and latest news, log into our website www.galaxytvonline.com and subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's youtube.com/GalaxyTV Nigeria. You can also follow or interact with us via Facebook. It's facebook.com/GalaxyTV or tweet at us at GalaxyTV. Don't forget to follow and tag us on the Instagram page at official Galaxy TV. All our social media platforms are user-friendly and can always accommodate your live updates and comments. Our next story is from Humaya in Abia State, where leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu, says there won't be elections in the southeast in 2019, stressing that the group will work tirelessly to achieve the aim. Kanu, in an exclusive interview with correspondent Kunle Ojo, said his group is resolute about their demands, calling on the federal government to hold a referendum to determine where his people belong.
I don't know how serious we are, but we are trying to show them. If you thought that 30th of May was a landmark event, I will ask you to wait for the coming Anambra elections. You'll be surprised, because there will never ever be any other elections in Biafra land.
While restating the intention of the group, Kanu says the indigenous people of Biafra are not calling for war, but are ready to achieve their aims through legal and constitutional means.
I'm not asking for war. Give me a date when I can determine if I want to be part of Nigeria or not. That's what I'm asking for. Nothing more, nothing less.
Yes, sir.
Because we are not going to stop. We are unstoppable.
He charged the group to remain calm and refuse to be distracted from achieving its aims. Now, Lagos is next, where the state government has now warned traders displaying wares at roadsides or thereby causing traffic gridlock to desist henceforth. Otherwise, markets where such illegal activities are perpetrated will be shut down till further notice. The state governor, Akiwumi Ambode, who handed down the warning at the meeting with leaders of Agbado Kyoto Market held at Lagos House in Ikeja, said the activities of the traders has become unbearable, hence the need for a final warning. The governor, who was represented by Secretary to the state government, Mr. Tunji Bello, said market leaders in the state have been warned severally.
Okeodo markets, because of the situation there. The market in Okeodo has become a stumbling block, particularly to those using the road. They have blocked the expressway. Even the contractors working on the road, they don't have space to walk again because they've taken over the market. They cause a lot of traffic gridlocks. So those coming from Ota or from Abulegba and so on, they have nowhere to pass again. And because of that, they have warned them consistently. We are yet to get any result on it. And that is why the governor has summoned today's meeting. And today's meeting is basically to give them the last warning. The idea was to go and shut down the market today, but the governor decided to give them just 1 week.
Responding on behalf of others, Babaloja Araromi Agbado Kildo Alaji Mukaila Oyinlola said market leaders have warned the traders in the habit of selling on roadsides to deceased, but their warnings have fallen on deaf ears, adding the government's resolve is a welcome development. In Ondo State now, where about 21 suspected cultists have been arrested in connection with recent killings in Akure metropolis, and they have been arraigned in court. The supremacy war between rival court groups in Akure have claimed several lives, development that has created tension within the city where people now go about their daily work in fear. Speaking with Galaxy News correspondent Levi Joseph, the police public relations officer Femi Joseph says the police will do everything possible to stop cult activities in the state.
Take the bull by the horns by picking some of them in various locations within the state. But those people you saw that we just brought to court today are involved or have been involved in the past and present in the series of murders and court-related activities that had pervaded the state in the last 3 or 4 days.
Meanwhile, the 21 suspects have been remanded at the Lokuta minimum prisons while the police gather more facts to apprehend other members who have gone into hiding. New Everton striker Henry Onyekuru in exclusive interview with Galaxy Television. We have that and other stories on Sport News.
New Everton striker Henry Onyekuru has confirmed to Galaxy Television that it was not an easy decision to choose the Toffees, stating that he went AWOL in January, which unsettled him at Eupen Football Club in Belgium. Arsenal, Everton, Leicester City, West Ham United were some of the English clubs interested in his services.
I'm happy because it hasn't been an easy decision for me to make, because from January we have been, trying to figure out some things with CAS Eupen from my transfer. I went AWOL in January, but I thank God for everything because now I'm back home to enjoy my holiday with my family and looking towards a good season ahead to play in Anderlecht.
Henry says he consulted former Super Eagles player Peter Osazie Odemwege before moving to Everton Football Club. He said clubs were willing to offer more than what the Toffees offered him, but he was interested in playing regularly.
Before making the decision, I seek some advice from Nigerian ex-players like Osazie Odemwege, and he gave me some advices. I have some other clubs, ready to offer more than what Everton did, but I believe in my age I need to play inside the pitch and not just the financial aspects for my career, and the coach will push me to make a good career for me. So I choose Everton because the coach really wants me, and I'm going to take a loan to Anderlecht for the Champions League, so it's good for my career.
Minister for Youth and Sports, Barrister Solomon Dalong, has confirmed that the new Federation's board will be inaugurated on the 13th of July. Speaking to Galaxy Television, the minister says the appeals committee is handling petitions from the June 13 Federation's election, stating that the new board will be accountable to Nigerians.
Well, presently, we're even the appeal committee is handling the petitions and grievances arising from the election. And when you talk about a transparent electoral process, there must be also a transparent process of ventilation of grievances, which I have insisted that every petition that comes must be given attention on the merit of it. Immediately after, we will have the report of the appeal committee, and if it takes us to holding, reconducting some elections from their verdict, we will still go again and conduct. But ultimately, we will inaugurate on the 13th of July like is provided. And like I said, what we are looking for is a democratized, autonomous federation that will be accountable to Nigerians and not individuals or not the ministry.
That was Sport News with me and Akiri. Now let's bring you stories making headlines outside Nigeria.
Welcome to Stories Making Headlines from the international scene. Former Chief Superintendent David Dorkenfield faces 95 charges of manslaughter, and 5 other senior figures will be prosecuted over the 1989 Hillsborough disaster. Mr. Dorkenfield was match commander at the FA Cup semi-final when 96 Liverpool fans were fatally injured in a crash. Ex-South Yorkshire Police SYP Chief Inspector Norman Batterson, 2 officers, a solicitor and a Sheffield Wednesday club secretary also faced charges. The Prime Minister said it would be a day of mixed emotions for families. Last year, new inquests into the 1989 disaster at the Liverpool vs Nottingham Forest FA Cup semi-final in Sheffield concluded the fans had been unlawfully killed. For legal reasons, Mr. Dorkenfield cannot be charged over the death of the 96th victim, Tony Bland, as he died 4 years after the disaster, prosecutors said. Staying on the international scene, Qatar's foreign minister has condemned its Gulf neighbors for refusing to negotiate over their demands for restoring air, sea and land links. Sheikh Mohammed Al Thani said the stance was contrary to the principles of international relations. Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, Bahrain and Egypt accused Qatar of aiding terrorism, a charge it denies. It has been presented with a list of demands that the Saudi foreign minister on Tuesday called non-negotiable. The restrictions have caused turmoil in Qatar, an oil and gas-rich nation that is dependent on imports to meet the basic needs of its population of 2.7 million. Meanwhile, rescuers have recovered 17 bodies of civilians believed to have been killed by ISIL fighters holed up in Marawi City, a besieged community in the southern Philippines, according to officials. Lieutenant Colonel Emmanuel Garcia of the Western Mindanao Command said in a text message to reporters that 5 bodies among the 17 victims were decapitated. The retrieval brought to 44 the number of civilians allegedly killed by the fighters during the 5-week conflict in Marawi City, military spokesperson Brigadier General Restituto Padilla said. Finally, on the international scene, North Korea on Wednesday said it has issued a standing order for the execution of former South Korean President Park Geun-hye and her spy chief for a plot to assassinate its leader, and it demanded that the South hand the pair over. The North official KCNA said revelations showed Park had masterminded a plot to execute its supreme leadership in 2015, and it was imposing the death penalty on traitor Park Geun-hye. KCNA did not disclose the source of the revelation, but a Japanese newspaper reported this week that Park, in 2015, approved a plan to overturn the North Korean regime of leader Kim Jong-un. Park was ousted in March over a corruption scandal and is in detention in South Korea while on trial. South Korea's National Intelligence Agency said the news report of a plot to kill Kim Jong-un had no grounds, and it had no immediate comment about the North's demand for the handover of Park and her spy chief, Lee Byung-ho. Lee is no longer head of the NIS.
For more updates and latest news, log on to our website www.galaxytvonline.com and subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's youtube.com/Galaxy TV Nigeria. You can also follow us on Facebook. It's facebook.com/Galaxy TV. Or tweet at us at Galaxy TV. Now don't forget to also follow us on Instagram at official Galaxy TV. All the social media platforms are user-friendly and are there for your live updates and comments. That's the news this evening. We'll be back at 10 p.m. with a more comprehensive bulletin. I am Nifemi Oguntoye. Thanks for being there.
Vacancies exist for the